as a people that we're at war.
I want to speak about the image of our people. We have to be protective of our image.
Our ancestors, they were oppressed, and we are oppressed today.
Hotep, everyone. How y'all doing tonight? Assalamu alaikum, peace, and all those wonderful greetings. This is the Jah and Kev show. I am Jah, and this wonderful brother over here is Kev. And tonight, we have a broadcast for you. It's entitled The Black Woman, but we're going to be a little bit more specific about the black woman. What is it about the black woman we're going to be talking about tonight? We're going to be talking about how we should be honoring the black woman. And we have a lot of qualities and characteristics that I'm sure Brother Kev is going to unpack. But I want to start off by asking this brother one question, and we're going to dive right into this broadcast. And here's the question.
All right.
Why should we be talking about this, Kev, honoring the black woman? What's up with that?
I believe we should be talking about the honoring the black woman, giving her flowers, because I think she has been an integral part. Mm-hmm. And I believe on the flyer you put the backbone of our existence here, mainly in this country. Mm-hmm. And I think she had to deal with a lot.
Yes,
and she was basically, like you said, the backbone. I think it's time that we give her flowers, because there's been a lot of negativity discussed on social media. And that seems to be the thing now, the popular thing to do. You know, have all these debates with men and women.
Right.
So
yeah, that's good, Kev, because I definitely concur with you. I don't believe, we both know that she has been the strength. She has been like the backbone that we have in our human bodies. She keeps us up. She keeps us straight. She's strong. And I know you and I could talk about the black woman for centuries to come. Now, we've had broadcasts in the past about black manhood. So I think it's just time for us to do this, because we have gotten to give this woman those flowers. Now, I know you did a promo, and I thought that was beautiful, because you were talking about how we should give her hers now and not just wait. Right. Because a lot of times the black woman is maligned. The black woman is always talked down to. She's talked about, and it's by even some of us, Kev. So let's address some of those issues. Why honor the black woman? Because she should be honored. Now, don't you? You've seen in the past superheroes, how we like to honor these superheroes, and we talk about them a lot. We have a superhero living amongst us right today.
Right.
And we need to talk about the superhero.
And I like to say, I like to use our.
Okay.
Know, not just the black woman.
Okay.
Our black woman.
Okay.
Our black women. Mm-hmm. And because our is a possessive determiner. Mm-hmm. That means possession of. She's part of us. She's part of our community. Mm-hmm. That means that we're taking ownership over what happens. And as men, we should take responsibility. Mm-hmm. And as women, you take responsibility for the black woman in our community. And it shouldn't just be our community. And it's a colony. It should be a colony. Mm-hmm. And the colony, with the definition being a group of organisms or people working for one benefit.
Okay.
And that's what I mean by when I'm saying colony, not what the colonizer has done or anything. But I'm saying when we take it possession like that of our women, then anything that happens with her, we understand it's going to affect us as a community or a colony. Mm-hmm. And this is why it is important to uplift.
Yes, sir.
A black woman and our black women.
Right. She's ours because, she's made this society, especially in the United States of America, she's made this a better place to live, Kel. Oftentimes it's the opposite of how many of us think. But tonight we're going to set the record straight to say, hey, we have nothing but praise. We have nothing but honor. We have nothing but respect that we're going to give to our black woman, because she's crucial, she's integral, and I don't know if we give her her proper due when it comes to society, but you and I will tonight on this Jah and Kev show. We will.
Yeah. And I think this is different, because most of the time on social media, you see a lot of bashing of black women by black men, or not defending our black women.
Right.
Black men not defending our black women when they're under attack, our black women as a whole. So this is what's different about this show, because we're giving flowers. And all these shows, because why do you see it as a benefit to bash and to fight, while these men getting on social media wanting to argue and belittle and berate a black woman? She's part of our community.
Exactly.
She's our black woman. So I understand that you could take a group of women or break down this person and that person and that person. But that, to me, you should see a problem that needs to be fixed because this is part of us.
Yeah, and see, a lot of that, Kevin, I want to just answer to that now because a lot of that bashing of her, the males that do that, the African, whomever, they're shallow in their thinking, you see. They're very limited in how they view her because their mindset has been affected by stupidity when it comes to her, you see. And what they're doing is they may have been in a relationship with a woman and maybe she's done them wrong, if in a sense, or whatever, and their experience may not have been great, but they have mothers, they have sisters, you see. And this is why I believe that we have to set the record straight, because a lot of the brothers that we hear that are bashing the black women, a lot of them have psychological problems, because you cannot bash the black woman when you take a panoramic view and see what this woman means to this world. You've got to come a better way than that.
Right. And I think when I asked the question, why would you do that? How does it benefit? It's a monetary benefit to that. You know, when you have a show and you're talking about black women and these guys cheering you on, then you become rich. You get likes, you get shares, you get all these things, and with that comes money. So it's odd because everything that is detrimental to us seems to be beneficial monetarily to us. If you make gangster rap music, you talk about killing another brother, berating a sister, calling them out their name, and the sexism that even women perpetrate on their own songs and music and things like that. Those things are beneficial to us as far as the system is concerned. The system makes it beneficial for everything that's detrimental to us. So this is why you have all these shows where they just talking about black women, what you don't do, what you need to do, what my mama did and all this. But these are our women. And if you see a problem, and see, the thing is, it's no benefit if you're going after gang members, because all these men that want to attack black women, you getting in all these arguments with black women about what they're not doing. But you look at our community, you're not talking about the gang and the violence and the drugs and all the education problems, because there's no money in that. You know, those are not corrective things that you could benefit off of. These guys that do this, they're benefiting in some kind of way, and a lot of times it's just looks, likes, and shares and things like that.
I'm telling you all now that's watching this broadcast, we love all of you, and we thank you for tuning in tonight, and we're grateful that you took time out of your busy day to watch the Jah and Kev show. But I want to speak on behalf of Kev. I normally don't do this, but I know for a fact what I'm about to say, he is going to concur with it. We love the black woman. We stand with the black woman. We're never against the black woman, in spite of our shortcomings as a society, as a people. We know that what she has gone through has been so much, and through it all, she has stood there. And see, we can talk about this all night, you see, because we know that this woman has qualities. She has characteristics that we have to bring out tonight, because no one else is doing it. And damn it, if no one else is doing it, no one else is going to do it. We've got to do it, and we're going to do it. So all you sisters out there, we're not trying to pat you on the back to put you on a cloud nine. We're saying this is how you have been through the ages, through the eons. And I got to settle down because I'm excited now, because I want to start talking, Kev, about the qualities and the characteristics. And one of the things I want to start off by talking about is what makes this black woman so super. Why is it that I'm excited tonight about this? It's because of the emotional and the inner and the mental strength that she has. So what do you mean by that? Because we have to define that for those who may say, I hear that all the time. What is this emotional strength? What is this inner strength? I'm talking about the toughness that she has to remain through some of the things, and we can get into some of those things that she has gone through, and she has remained steadfast. She has remained a staples. She has not thrown in the towel. She has not given up on us. She has not kind of shied away. So that's a mental toughness, because when a lot of us go through things, especially when they're hard, we give in. We do. And we fold like a cheap suit. But the black woman, man, through the years, down through society, we're not talking about 5 or 6 days. We're talking about ever since we've come over here. And if you want to go back to Africa, even then, she has been the staples for humanity, and we've got to talk about how tough it is to be that way, and it takes a strong woman, an internal strength, strong woman, to be that way.
Yeah, I like when you label someone as being having superpowers or abilities or being special, you have to do that in comparison. So if you compare what she's been through to and what others may say, now I could say a superhero, man, Superman, he can fly, you know, and what makes him special is because we can't. You know, I think the black woman, what makes her special is what she's been through, what she's persevered through.
Yes, sir.
and what she's carried on her back that has been imposed and imprinted upon us as a people.
Yeah, yeah.
She has been there steadfast.
Yeah.
And like you say, the backbone. So when you compare, and I think if you put anyone else in her shoes, I don't like to knock any other group, but I'm saying there's no one that has proven, because they haven't walked through what we have gone through as a people.
Yes, sir.
And I'm talking not just the black woman; she hasn't just gone through this, but we as a people has gone through this. So you could talk about any other group, but also what has been perpetrated against her, us, and she has carried the load.
Yes, sir.
Because no other people has gone through that.
That's right. That's right. And no other woman has lasted as long and has been as strong on the outcome than the black woman. See, so we can say this unequivocally. You and I can say this, and we're not being braggadocious. We're not boasting. We're saying these are some facts, whether we like it or not. They may not have had to go through other women what the black woman has gone through, but since she's been through it, she's the one that can tell us, how do you last through the years of the struggle, the pain, the abuse, all of the things that she's gone through, and she's still standing. When the smoke clears, she's still standing strong, she's still standing tall, and she's still standing with her head up to teach us lessons that she has endured, and she continues to endure, because it's not over with yet. It's just a part of her journey, but she has shown us, she has given us proof, positive, that through it all, she was able to withstand. And we'll get into some of the things. I keep saying things, but when we talk about some of the trials, some of the tribulations, and in fact, when your husband was taken from you, your son was sent to a war to be killed, men have left you, men have done things to you that's just horrific, but you still stood strong, Kev. That deserves some type of honor, and that's why I lift my head up high to the sister tonight.
And I don't choose to go into like a lot of the celebrated black women, like the Mary Bethune-McLeod and all these women like this, Sojourner Truths, and we could talk about all of them. The ones that's well known, the Rosa Parks, Claudette Covens, we could talk about them, but I'm talking about the everyday, round the way black woman. Now, when you look at her, she may not be in the best position in the world.
Right.
But you have to look at where she came from and what she's come through, and the people that she has brought along with her, which is our people. So I'm talking about the mothers that I was seeing growing up in the hood, that was going through trials and tribulations that was imposed and imprinted upon her, and the things the conditions that she had to go through, through the conditioning of this country, that the conditions that we went through has been something that the system has imposed upon us. So she stood tall. I'm not talking just about, the past and all these, figures that we hold. I'm talking about you. I'm talking about you, everyday black woman, the things that you have gone through, the things that you carry on, and even some that has fallen. And understand that the ones that a lot of these guys talk about, I understand. I'm talking about your pedigree. I'm talking about the pedigree of our black women, the legacy of our black women, to know that they have come from a special place that has shown us that they have been special, and has shown us that they have been strong, and some of them have been fallen victim to the conditions that has been imposed and impressed upon us. But I'm talking about the mothers that has been in the hood, was helping us go to school, that was working jobs. When we talk about our big mamas, some of my best friends, some of your mothers, my mother, my sister, to see everything they doing, and my daughter, to see how she's persevering despite everything that I couldn't give her. This is who I'm talking
about. Beautiful words. And I look at all of that, and I have to throw in the cup here a word that starts with the letter D, and it's determination. The determination that I have witnessed, and I continue to witness from the black woman in the United States of America, the determination is unmatched. In other words, when you determine to do something, you're not going to give up, no matter how tough it may be. I was raised amongst different people, but there were women that I could think of now who we didn't have much, but they were determined to make sure that we had the best of whatever it was. They didn't cast us to the side. They didn't look at us as if we were obstacles or we were just children. They were determined to make sure that we had the best of whatever they had, and that determination still carries today with even some of the sisters that's watching this broadcast today. They can relate to that, because in order to be a hero, in order to be a backbone, you have to be determined. You can't allow anything to stop you, and that's what I continuously see in the black woman, especially in the United States of America. They are determined. Our women are sure that they're going to get to the bottom of whatever it may be. And I think that's a quality, that's a characteristic, that's a trait that is not talked about that often.
Right. And what was coming to mind, I think about all the broken pieces that she had to mend together, even being broken within herself, from what she has to deal with. In the mindset of men and women, period, have to deal with the mindset of being taken advantage of or whatever by their men. But I'm talking about our women. She was broken, and she had to keep those pieces together.
Yeah.
You have to keep pieces together to keep your household together.
Yes, you do.
You know, sometimes you go through the heartbreak, but you still is doing something for your family and holding things and making meals and putting food on the table, doing what you have to do. Now, our black women is the lowest marriage. They have the lowest marriage rate out of any other group. They had the highest divorce rate out of any other group. We have as a people the highest single household group out of any other group. And 9 times out of 10, that single parent household is a woman. And so she is the one that is holding us together, that is raising our kids. And we giving flowers to that.
That's right.
And this is something that I think that we need to acknowledge as men. And we go through a lot as men. We as a people, we go through a lot. But sometimes you got to stop and give recognition.
Oh, yes, you do.
And say thank you for what you're doing.
Yes,
thank you for what you have done. And I may not see you. Some guys may not see, and they see this one woman that may be ratchet or something like that. And to me, I see a pedigree. I see it, and I just like seeing a lion. You may see a lion that's in a circus and they throwing popcorn and they don't. But you understand that that's a pedigree. That lion in its own habitat is something majestic. And this is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's great. You know, we talking about all these qualities, these traits, these characteristics. If you want to give us a call, we ask that you please do that. You know, the number is 361-405-6111. And especially if you're a sister or a brother, call us and give honor to the black woman. Talk about a quality or a characteristic that Kev and I have not said yet that you want to throw in the mix, because this is for all of us and we all should take part in it. One of the things I was thinking about when you said that also is perseverance. You know, that perseverance is refusing to give up. Because when it gets hard in life, in many instances, the first inclination is, I quit. It's too tough for me. But they couldn't do it because they looked at the future of their people and they saw that I have to be this staples. I have to be this person that's going to stand strong. And I believe consciously, now some people may not believe this, but I believe consciously as a group, as a species, that they persevered because they realized that it was bigger than they, and they wanted to make sure that what we had as a people was going to be something that was going to be prolonged, so that when we look back, we can see that all these people that you talked about in the past that we're not really highlighting today, all the way down to today, the very sisters today, they still have that same mentality of, I'm going to persevere, because they understand that it's the woman that's the backbone. We're not putting down any men. We know it's basically a dualistic with the man and the woman, but today we're talking about the woman, and I'm telling you now, the black woman has been so great. She's not only our superhero, she's someone that we should be honoring and giving great words to, because she deserves it, Kev. She alone deserves this.
And giving the number again, I know one of the people that's tuning in and they want the number to call again. It's 361-405-6111. And I'm also going to ask this. If you want to call in, give honor to a black woman. Call in and mention a name on the show.
Your mother,
if you want to just, if you don't want to call in, comment. We'll call the name out. You know, all of us know black women that has been there. Now we should be flooded with names, because I'm talking to every day, round the way, black sister, our black women that has been through things, and I mean just persevering, like you said, perseverance. We've all seen those mothers that used to look out for all the kids on the neighborhood. We've all seen a school teacher, and we have to understand, you've been a nurse, a school teacher, whatever your profession has been, we know that we have been through hell as a people. And we know that you have stood tall as a woman of a people that has been going through hell.
Man, I remember, especially, I want to mention my mother, man. You know, she's deceased now, but I remember when we moved to Fort Wayne, Indiana, she had 5 children, and she met 2 other women, and they all had at least 5 or 6 children. None of them had men. And we were so poor that what they would do, one would get enough money to get beans, the other one would get enough money to get rice, and the third one would get enough money to get cornbread. And they would cook so many beans and cornbread and rice, and we would sit around as a tribe, as a people, man, and we would share those beans and cornbread together. But it was just that they made sure that we had something in our belly. It may not have been what we wanted, but it was just them showing the tenacity. It's like they were saying, I'm going to hold on to this firm goal. And that was their goal, was to make sure that every day we had something in our stomachs. We may have eaten it for 2 or 3 days, but that was the power from within those ladies that they said, I'm going to look out for these children if no one else did.
Right. And the number again is 361-405-6111. If you want to call in, I'm going to mention the name of my mother, Grace Lewis, and, it's just watching everything and realizing everything. Once you get older, you realize it when you reflect back of everything that you've gone through and who was there. And I pretty much grew up comfortable.
Okay.
Me and my sister felt like we was middle class when we wasn't.
Okay.
Because it was always food on the table. And my dad played a part in that. But just having that nuclear household and what we thought was a perfect situation, and we thought it was because we didn't feel the pain of it,
right.
know, and knowing that my mom was part of that glue that was keeping things together. She was that comforter. My dad was the disciplinarian, but my mom was that comforter. And I want to thank her for that.
Wow,
and I think about other mothers, Mrs. Adams, growing up over there in the east side of San Antonio, that was always vigilant, looking out over us. And we teased her son because she would want him inside, looking out for him. But we thought that was so corny. But Mrs. Adams, I want to give you your flowers. Miss Wills, I think of Miss Gonzalez. I could think of a lot of names of my best friends and their mothers that looked out for us.
Wow, Kev, that's beautiful. And see, this is the kind of broadcast that people should flock to, because we're not up here talking about no okie doke crap. We're talking about something that's crucial, something that's important, something that is timely. Because what I'm listening to and what I'm hearing from you and myself, and I'm sure others can attest to this, is they had what is called willpower. That's when you make yourself do something that's hard to do. And that's tough, man. And I don't think we often get into these little definitions. Willpower, we always talk about how we have willpower to do this and that. But sometimes you don't feel like doing it, Kev. You don't want to do it, but you do it because you know it needs to be done. And inside of you, there's this strength that's undefined. There's a strength that women have, that when it comes to doing what has to be done, whether they like it or not, they're going to do it. And that's one of the characteristics and the qualities that I love about the black woman and the superhero that we're talking about tonight.
Right. I want y'all to comment. I want to call somebody's name out. I want to thank everyone that showed up so far. Ladae Bishop, and she said good evening, and Coretta Cole Branch, I appreciate you. She said good evening. Sakina, she said assalamu alaikum, brothers, wa alaikum assalam, sister. And Leslie Robinson, she said, of course, like she said, she wanted to call in. She wanted to repeat the number. So we gave the number. Call in, comment. If y'all have, just give tribute to somebody as a tribute. Just mark their name, and we mark it in time. This is what I mean by marking their name. We're gonna call out a name. We're giving flowers. Who do you want to give flowers to? They could be living. We always give flowers to the dead, and it's nothing wrong with that. Give flowers to the living. I appreciate a lot of the people that I see, that our women, like I said, our men. I'm taking possession. You're part of us. I'm not here to bash anybody, and even the people that we may see that's doing wrong, but we got to realize that we're a colony. If it's something wrong in the colony, then fix it.
There you go.
If it's things that need to be fixed, you don't bash it. You take responsibility and saying, we got to do better. Sister, you are better than this. And just the same thing we need to do with our brothers. Brothers, we are better than this. If I see a brother berating a sister, I'm going to be like, brother, we are better than this. You're playing into the man's game, the system's game. They want us at each other's throat. Right. They want us as men at each other's throat. That's why I say the gangster rap, the gangster music, the thug life, that's all popular. And bashing our women, that's popular. And it's a reason that those things are popular, because that's how the system is designed, and the system has imprinted upon us and imposed a type of mentality upon us. So we got to correct those things.
And the thing that I liked about our women, our men as well, but tonight we're talking about our women. I like that resilience, the ability to bounce back. It's sometimes it's hard to do. Sometimes people are crushed when something happens, But down through the years, you can give as many illustrations as you like. So can I, and so can those who are viewing this. Time after time, when we were put down, we were kicked down, we had fallen, we got back up. Case in point, when someone takes something from you, especially your manhood or your womanhood, and they're constantly trying to berate you, they're constantly putting you down, they're constantly taking your children, they're constantly taking the minds of the people that you love, and to be able to come back and say, you know what, I'm going to make sure that this doesn't stop. This doesn't happen to me, I should say. I'm going to continue to go and do what I need to do. We do have a call, Kev. I want to make sure we get this caller in. So it says it's screening, and once it's done, we want to see what beautiful words the sister has to say. But yeah.
I'm going to give her name, Barbara McClary. I want to give that name. I'm going to give her flowers. She's passed, and I appreciate her for all that she's done.
Okay. Thank you for calling the Jah and Kev Show. Please tell us something beautiful about the black woman.
First of all, I want to thank you, brothers, for even talking about the black woman and giving us our flowers. I am a black woman, a proud black woman. And I'm thankful for the black woman, even looking at my mother, my grandmother, my great-grandmother, on both sides, my father and my mother's side. And just to see the strength that they had, if you think about it, women that were back in the 30s and 40s when they were having like 14, 15 kids, at a time, either bringing two families together that equal up to that. How they persevere, the black woman persevere as far as making sure the household was taken care of. So I'm thankful for the strong black woman, and we are resilient in what we go through in our life. So I am just so thankful of being a black woman, a proud black woman. I have no shame in that. And I don't try to change who I am for other people. Because, you got some black women that might want to change the way they may act or, if they're around a certain group of people. I am who I am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And so being the black woman, this is who I am. So I just want to thank you, brothers, for talking about this subject, about giving us our flowers and talking about the black woman. Thank you so much.
Did you want to drop a name or any other names of the people?
Sure. My name I want to drop is Mildred Hamilton, which was my mother, and she is deceased. But when I look back at her life and what she instilled in me as a black woman and what I saw, all I saw was strength. She was a school teacher. She made sure we had breakfast every morning. She made sure we had dinner, everything. She made sure the household was taken care of. And she made sure that she talked to me and my sister. Sometimes teenagers, we go through our ups and downs. We think, as we say, smelling ourselves. But it's that strong mother or that black mother is going to put you down, bring you down a peg or two, and get you straightened out. So I'm just thankful for my mother, Mildred Hamilton.
All right, I appreciate the call. Thank you.
Sister sound like Marcus Garvey, man. She must be a Garveyite. That sounds just like Marcus Garvey. He always taught us, and this was something that a lot of us still hold dear to, the pride that I hear in her voice, the respect that she has for her elders, her mother, and just the self-respect. That's beautiful when you hear a sister say that, as opposed to putting another sister down or, denigrating another sister. So, that was a beautiful call, man, when we talk about how she says, I'm proud to be one. See, that's great, Kev.
Yeah, that's pedigree and legacy, man. That's what I'm talking about. And it rubs off. And if we continue, if we see anything wrong with our kids, not these kids, our kids, take possession of it. Take possession of them. Understand that they are they're part of us. They take responsibility for this. If you see anything wrong or is happening to our young daughters, then do something about it.
Yes,
fix
sir.
the problem.
Yes,
don't bash the problem. Fix the problem. And don't think that this is our women. Our women has a legacy and a pedigree. Some of us have fallen victim. Some of our people, period, has fallen victim to the system. And it's bound to happen. The system is a terrible beast. But you understand who you are. And understand what we have as men and our black women.
One of the things I wanted to say, Kev, about the black woman is, and I'm using qualities and characteristics because I have so many of them. I could talk about it for the next 20 years, but one of them is flexibility. See, this is something where you're willing to shift when needed. See, some of us, we can't shift. You know, other races of people, they go straight. We know that's a construct, but again, just for conversation, they have to go a certain way. But our sisters, the black ones, they've been able to shift. In other words, they've been able to change it and go in another direction, only to get back going on the right path.
And in the military, we call it improvising and adapting.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and that's what we witnessed with our woman.
Yeah.
Because I think when we were talking about the piano lesson, we was talking about the woman in the piano lesson, the sister, and she was talking about, you don't think we're strong. You know, we had to pick up the pieces when, like you said earlier, when our men are being sent to prison. Now, our men are not just acting a fool going to prison. This has been designed. So you are put in a situation that you didn't create.
Right.
So you're sweeping up the pieces. You're still having to keep the kids going and growing and doing things while their dad is maybe murdered or the police, you know, whatever happens. Or you're just a single mother.
Wow.
You know, and this is what you have to do. And I understand it. We're recognizing it and we giving you recognition for it.
Yes, sir. You must have really been in my mind when you talk, because everything you say, you're feeding me, y'all. He's throwing me a curve, and I'm hitting that thing out the park, because what I really understand about what we're talking about tonight is the black woman is a survivor, Kev. That's what it boils down to. She's one who have lived through hardships and continues to go through hardships, because we're not saying that it's over, but we're saying that we can sit back and look at this woman and we can see her journey as we continue to see it unfold, and all these qualities and characteristics that she's just throwing them at us as she keeps moving forward. She's throwing nothing but beautiful things at us, and we've taken those things and we're talking about it, because to be able to go through the hell that we've gone through and to be able to still have the mindset that, like even the sister that just called, you have to have been a survivor. So they're survivors, man. They're so into life, and that's a wonderful thing that we need to continue to uplift.
Yeah, not take for granted, you know. And I think, like, women are roses to me, you know. But a rose that stands out is a rose that's not in the garden with the other roses, the one that's growing from the concrete. And I think this is what our black woman is, that she's grown and blossomed and bloomed in treacherous conditions.
Yes, sir.
That these other roses in the garden, they have been fertilized and soiled and watered. But when you see that rose coming up out of the concrete, then you pay special attention to that rose.
Yeah, because she's defeated life obstacles. That's some kind of statement to say that this woman is an overcomer. In other words, she's defeated the things that have been thrown at her by the system, and she continues to defeat those things. You know, now I want to say something real quick, and I'll turn it back over to you, but I want to talk about at least one thing that they say about the black woman that I want to get a clarification. They always call her the angry black woman. You know, you hear that a lot, okay? Our sisters, first of all, our sisters don't go around mean mugging everybody every day. So that's a total bold-faced lie. Sisters, they don't go around doing that. But what they do is, when things aren't the way they're supposed to be, they speak up about those things.
Right.
And they interpret that rhetoric as angry. And then also, I'm going to give them a little more than that. If you've been through what our sisters have gone through, our black women, you ought to be angry. If I do something to you, Kev, if I do something that's detrimental to you for all these years, I don't expect you to be over there laughing at me saying, okay, yeah, Jai. You ought to be angry. So I think that's a valid point. I just want to put it in context that every day we see our sisters, they're not mean mugging, turning over tables. You know, they just speak their mind, because they're not going to let you run over them. And that's one of the things that we don't like to talk about, but a lot of brothers, we don't get it. But no, they're not angry. They're angry at what we do, but inside of them, they have nothing but love, because if it hadn't been for them, I almost use vulgarity, but you know what wouldn't be here. So let's get that straight, man. They ought to be angry when you've taken their husbands, when you're taking the men out the house, when you turned their sons to being effeminate, when you've done all these things that you've done, when you miseducated their children. And I can go on and on. They ought to be angry. So I don't want to hear that crap about black women are angry just because they're voicing their opinion. They should be angry when you do all the things they're doing to us.
That anger has kept us strong throughout the years, you know. That, and I was thinking of a lyric from Public Enemy, and they say, "You're quite hostile." They say, "I have a right to be hostile. My people been persecuted."
Yeah.
You know, what do you expect from a lion? You know what I'm saying? And when you corner a lion. She's gonna roar. You know what I'm saying? She's gonna attack. And a lot of things she has a right to attack because she has been attacked and we have been attacked as a people. When you're trying to guard your cubs, she's a mother. She's that grizzly mother. You know, and she should be. And I know not every woman, but I'm talking as a whole, as a group. This is what we had. And it should be like that because anybody else would have folded if they rode in her shoes or they walked in her shoes. This is how I felt. And I'm, you know, if anybody else get offended, I'm saying this. Show me because I haven't seen. Now, it may have, you know, maybe the conditioning would have happened with another group of women, but we haven't seen that. You know, so I don't know if you could walk in her shoes because I haven't seen anybody that had to put her shoes on.
No, especially when you look at the adversity that she's gone through, how she's grown through adversity. This is what blows my mind, how you could try to put something on someone instead of it affecting them negatively. The long run, what happens is they persevere during very hard times. I'm talking about when the world is against you, not just the system, but those within our own so-called race. Something like you mentioned at the outset of the broadcast. Many of us African-American men, we despise black women. We hate black women. And that's a shame and a disgrace for us to be that way. But because of stupidity, because of other things, you know, it's everyone is against them. But in spite of all of that, she still seems to go down the road on her journey, and she has the right perspective. And I think that growth through adversity, it ought to be expressed because this is something that you mentioned, and I know for a fact as well. No other group of women has gone through what our black women have gone through and have been able to come out on the backside and still moving and to be the type of beautiful flowers that they are. I just haven't seen it.
Yeah, I mean, if you think of as a young girl, a young black girl, and you're told that you're ugly, you're told everything about you is ugly. Everything about you is wrong. Your hair is wrong. Your features are wrong. Your skin tone, your melanin is wrong. You know, that you've come from nothing. Show me that people. Show me another people that has gone through that. Where everything about their features is told, you're told that it's negative, but yet the world is trying to copy you. You know, nobody copies something that's negative. Nobody wants to copy something that they think is ugly or terrible or whatever. But they'll tell you in your mindset that you're not as beautiful as somebody else. The standards of beauty in this country had nothing to do with you. So now you growing up with that. And you know, your hair, whatever, you thinking negativity. We see the residual effects of that when people get old. When I was coming up, we was doing the curls and all that stuff. We was trying to do, and my parents' generation, they were putting the lye in their hair and they dyeing their hair. We had brother saying black and proud, you know, said out loud. But James Brown, but he had his hair, you know. But see, and I'm not blaming him, but I'm saying that's an effect.
Exactly.
You have been under the effect of an attack that you were under attack since you were born. You know, so when you persevere, and I see you strutting, I see you with your hair like it is, like natural, then I'm gonna applaud you.
Yeah, that's perseverance as well as persistence. Now, I like to think I know a lot of things, but I really don't know as much as I'd like to think I know. One thing that has baffled me, and I will probably never get the answer to as we talk about this subject, and that's this. How can a group of women display strength in facing great pain constantly? I can't, that blows my mind, and that's a testament to the power and the strength of the black woman, because I can't understand as much constant pressure, constant pain, you know, all of the things thrown at them, not just every 15 years. I'm talking about every day for at least 400 plus years and counting, and they still seem to be strong. I don't understand what makes them do what they do, but at the same time, it's something that I'm accepting and saying that's one of the characteristics and traits that they have that no other woman has.
Right. I think of shielding. Like I mentioned my mother's name earlier. Like I said, if y'all want to give flowers to somebody, mention their name in the comments. Or if you want to give a little testimony to somebody that touched you, a black woman, call in at 361-405-6111. But I think when you were talking, I'm thinking of shielding, because I know my mom was going through things, but we didn't feel that at home. We thought everything was rosy. We thought everything was great because this is the love that she showed us. Sir. And she shielded us from the pain of whatever it is that they were going through. And this is what I love about the women that are Ira Lewis, Etta Harris. Those are my grandmothers. One from New York and one down here, those are my grandmothers, and they were strong black women.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna keep naming. I hate to sound like I'm just naming my family tree, but I'm saying these are the names that I'm coming up with.
Yeah, I'm throwing in some names too. You throwing in names, I'm gonna throw in names too. Georgia Brewer, which was my mother. Arlene Whitlow, Arminta Wyndham, Elsie Grant, these are the women who were unbreakable in my life. They were unbreakable. The society tried to destroy them. Society tried to throw everything they could at them, but they found a way to beat the system in a sense that they made sure that we had what we need as we were growing up. So you couldn't destroy these kind of women because their mindsets were way 10 steps ahead of whatever the system threw at them. And I think that's a wonderful characteristic and a trait that a lot of times we just overlook with these women.
And I remember something that Malcolm X said: the most unprotected and most disrespected person in the world was the black woman.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And that's a testament also of her black man, because we should be protecting them. And we should not allow her to be disrespected. And this is what she has gone through. And this is a shot at us, because every other man, you can't talk about an Irish woman. You can't call her out of her name, especially if you're not one of them, or they're not even going to accept that in their society. Spanish person, they're not going to accept you or a group of people attacking their woman. Their men has got to stand up. So when we see our woman under attack, that's why I said these are our women.
Yes.
You take possession. This is us. So you have to take possession and responsibility and protect. So she has been the most unprotected. So this is a shot on her, the one that should be protecting her the most.
Right. And one of the another characteristics that I want to bring out is the wisdom. I mean, growing up, I used to sit around and listen to black women. They would pass down wisdom and life's lessons. And it seemed like everything that they said came to pass. And it's like, how did they know that this was going to happen or this wasn't going to happen? I remember I used to bring friends over, and sometimes the women, they would say, he's no good, and I'm like, oh, they just talking, you just hating because, you don't want me to do this and that, the other. And it seemed like 99.9% of the time, it turned out to be the right way. They could look into a crystal ball, if you will, a figurative crystal ball, and they can tell you what is going to happen if you keep doing this. And that wisdom, I don't think we talk about, even though I know in Africa they talk about the gurus and all that's great, but we had our own griots and gurus in the United States of America in the way of the black woman, because they can tell you whether a person was good or no good or whether they were going to be successful. And I'm still baffled at how they would know that.
I'm going to give a couple of more flowers. Some comments came out. Mary L. Royal, get your flowers, sister, queen. And someone said, Barbara Royal, my mom. You get your flowers, sister, and I appreciate the comments. So this is and this is the show that we want to have.
Yes,
we want to give our black women flowers. We want to show appreciation. And not we got to offset the attack and the bashing, even from ourselves, from some of the men that's in our community. And I always shun that. I don't want to get involved in those type of conversations. I even have young brothers, and they'll tell me, man, these women are this and that. I'm like, well, you're looking at the wrong women then, because it's every group has an array of different types of people that come up different ways. And sometimes a person may be the way they are because of the way that they were raised. And a lot of us have been raised by the system. And so a lot of us will fall by the wayside. But I'm not going to bash black women. You don't do that. You don't say, I had a bad apple, so the whole tree is trash. No, this is our tree.
Because it's too many beautiful characteristics and traits of the black woman, you see. There's a multiplicity of words that could be used to describe the beauty of the black woman. And I'm getting poetic, but I have to, because I think it's necessary when we're talking about her, because she should bring out these types of the loftiest thoughts that a man could have should be in his mind when he talk about the group of people like we're talking about. One of the things that I do want to bring up too, even though she's gone through all of the things that we said she did, the pain, the heartache and all of that, I go back to her being a nurturer. Like you mentioned with your mother. That is indescribable, that she could take on all the things that she went through without telling us and getting us worked up. And when you look on her face, you would think that the world was just where it's supposed to be. But
Right,
behind closed doors, we know that our mothers and the sisters were going through and continue to go through things. But to be able to nurture some children, little ones, bringing them up and giving them all the love, man. The black women are some of the most loving women, you see. They show the love. They don't even have to tell you because they show you what they do, and only a fool would look at a woman and not know that this is what she's displaying is love, you see, because he may be selfish and she may be selfish, but if they never tell us that they love us, they showed us that they loved us. And I think that nurturing is something that we have to go back and continue to revisit, because boy, that's why you are the way you are today. That's why I am the way I am today, because we were nurtured, man. We were nurtured.
Everywhere we've been as a people, she has been there.
Yeah.
And she has not folded. She has not folded.
Yeah.
And a lot of men have folded.
Yeah.
Some men haven't folded, and some of us have fallen to the wayside, but she has been there. And this is when you look around and you feel pride about your people, you need to give roses to your woman.
Now, I'm going to take a shot, Kevin, and this is not a heavy shot. This is just a little 22. This is not a 45 or anything, okay?
Yeah.
But if you look at history, and I have somewhat, I noticed that on all of the revolts that we had that were unsuccessful, for the most part, when someone snitched, as we say today, most of those people were men. I mean, now every now and then you may get a woman that may have snitched, but for the most part, with all of the recorded history that we have, for the most part, the Denmark Vesey, the Nat Turner, when you get the John Browns, all of those revolts that we said we're going to stop this slavery, it was men who went and told. So the woman, we know that she's made differently. And all I'm trying to say is, that's just something that I thought about when I was researching and studying this, and I was like, wow, this is interesting, man. And not that she has never done it, but it just appears that you and I, we gonna sing like a bird for the most part, whereas it seemed like the one, and they knew too. They knew all the plots, they knew all the plans, but that a woman was very, very protective of something that was that serious.
Yes, and I think a lot of our men that have been strong, they've also had strong women by their side. You could tell a lot by a man by the woman that he has by his side, and how he treats a woman that's by his side. Yeah. And I also want to name Teresa Lewis, Jasmine Jackson, Gladys White. Watching some of these people.
Yeah.
Kalia Rashad.
Yeah.
As a young mother, I want to give my roses to
please
you.
do. Yeah.
And if y'all want to give roses, we have another comment. The day Bishop said, my mother, Pamela Bishop, to know her story, she's a true warrior.
Wow.
And I appreciate flowers given to her.
Yeah. I told my wife this morning, I said, I love you, not because of the broadcast, but, I often tell her those things. And I don't just tell her, I just try to show her Marie Osanze and my sisters, Janie Bowden, Earlene Tubbs, Clara Wright, and Kitty Chumney, my sisters. And I remember, because I'm the youngest of the family, you see. Now I'm the oldest because everybody come to me when they need something. But when I was growing up, I looked up to them. But I remember in their lives with the men that they chose, some of the men, and I would see the dynamics and what they had to go through. And I'm like, I couldn't do that. But at the same time, they all had their own way of dealing with people. And I think that was a beautiful thing for me to see, because they took their experience and they turned it into something that it should have been, as opposed to just letting a relationship make them be to the point where they were no good for society after they got out of a relationship.
I think some of the superpowers that they may have is exemplified in different ways. Some people see, you can look at the Angela Davis's and all those that's in the revolution, and they're strong sisters, and they say, we always say, Asada, Angela, they're strong sisters. Betty Shabazz, that's a strong sister. But the everyday sister, sometimes your nurturing is a strong thing. I remember something my dad told me some years back. He told me, he said, look out for your sister. I'm like, I always look out for my sister. He said, no. He said, look out for your sister, because she takes on the burden of other people. Because people always come to her with their problems, because she's, listener, and she's intelligent. And he was telling me, they bombard her. All those, he was naming people that was coming over, family members. He said, she's always there, listening. And he said, when that's a weight that you carry with yourself. And this is why when I talk about being a man, I don't burden women with my problems. It's like, you have enough of a burden. Why would I want you to worry about, or even if you're not worried about, it's just the emotional drain that you're putting on somebody else when you're telling them, or you're needing them to listen, because they're nurturers. They will listen, but sometimes you could just overload them. And a lot of our women, their superpower is listening and nurturing their girlfriends, dealing with their kids, everything in society is a burden. That's a superpower.
And I think about people like Mashonda Royal, Luke. Make that Charisma Tucker, Barbara Royal. These women, one thing I notice about a lot of women, man, that the strength they have is you mess with their children. They were advocates is what I'm trying to say. They are advocates. If you bothered us or you bothered somebody in our community, the sisters, man, they would tear you a new behind, because they weren't going to allow anyone to just treat us any kind of way. So they were always advocates to try to make sure that they stood up for us when we couldn't stand up for ourselves. And I think that's crucial in a superhero. Superman and Spider-Man and all these fictitious characters, they always come and save the day and protect children. But our sisters, they actually went out and they actually had to fight for us. And it was so surreal, because that showed that they loved us, Kev. That's love in at its best.
Yeah, I think that as a people, I think we have to protect our daughters. Our women are there, and I think our women should be doing everything they can to protect the young girls. And because I can't put myself in a woman's shoes. I can admire and I can give my flowers, but I don't know exactly what that's like. And I think women can relate to women. I remember growing up. I'm gonna say this also. I'm gonna get back to that. But I remember growing up as a young man, I'm like, man, all these women with these songs, I was listening to music, they always singing about heartbreak. I don't care whether it's Aretha Franklin, Natalie Cole, Mary J. Blige, Beyonce, and Billie Holiday, going back, all of them singing the same songs. It's just different generations, and they singing the same song. And I'm thinking to myself, why? Why is all these women, all of them are able to relate? When Mary J came out with "I'm Not Gonna Cry," and all these women was like waiting to exhale, and they all got their hands up, like, yeah, because they all can relate. They all can relate to that heartbreak, a heartbreak that's imposed, that's by a man or whatever.
Wow.
And I was always thinking, man, I'm like, she can't be going through these problems. This person, she's too beautiful, but they all do, and that's a superpower, because you're able to shake that off and keep moving. And that's what I used to think of.
Okay, good. I'm thinking about giving out 2 more flowers, because as you're talking, I'm thinking about who else that's impacted my life, that's in the female aspect, and it's Candace Walker and Jatara Bronax, or Jatara. These are 2 women that their children have been going to our school forever, man. Okay, and to me, that says a lot when you trust someone to educate your child, to take them out of a damn system that is no good for your child, and you're going to give another man that you trust and give the keys to your children's educational heart, and allow them to thrive and to trust and to know that you in the best position academically that you ever can be. I have to take my hat off to these sisters, because a lot of people don't trust us, but for them to trust me, I just wanted to say to them, whether they're watching or not, I definitely appreciate that stick-to-itiveness and that their concern for proper education. They don't just complain about what the system is doing. They did something to show that they are very wise when it comes to their educational decisions.
Okay, we have more flowers. We have Luana Priestley. She said, Barbara Jean Fuller, single mom of 5, and moved us out of the Sutton home. She still owns her home on the east side. And she said, I love her so much for what she sacrificed for us. I appreciate that. And Coretta Cole Branch, she said, roses to my mother, Carrie Pitts Cole. She was a mother of our community. She fed the neighborhood and the community. She prayed for and gave advice to us and our community. Flowers to you. I appreciate those comments. And I think these are and this is what I wanted to say. Everyday people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you thought we were going to come here and talk about black women and we're going to talk about those ones that's in our history books and all that, they're there.
Right.
You are who you are and you did what you did, but I'm talking about these women, these amazing women, they're all around us. And sometimes we grow up in the household, they're right around us.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have to give flowers.
Yeah.
So this is not going to be that show where we want to get likes and shares because we're bashing black women and
Right.
talk about what they don't do.
Yeah.
They don't cook like my mama, you know,
Right.
all that kind of
Right.
stuff. No, we giving you flowers. We appreciate you.
You're walking. If you don't know what's really going on, you're actually walking in a flower bed, and there are flowers all around us, and all we have to do is bend down and pick one, and all those flowers symbolize and represents the black women that are so beautiful. And all we have to do is think about our lives, and there were many beautiful black women in all of our lives, and all we have to do is think about picking a flower and looking at that flower and saying, what makes this flower so special? And then thoughts should begin to come to our mind about the things that these women did for us and continue to do for us, and also help make us be the people that we are today.
Right.
Because a lot of the things that we have gone through, it's a reflect of right today. These are our upbringings, and it shaped us. It molded us into the men and the women that we are today. And we should be thankful for those women who laid the foundation for us to be the way we are.
Right. And with all this being said and done, like I'm going to go back to, we got to protect our daughters. We got to raise our daughters. And some of the women, I would love to see women taking more control over the next generation or the younger generation and help guide those sisters. And I would also like to see that on our part, but this is not about us. But this is only women can help raise a woman to be a woman.
Yeah.
You know, we could do what we can,
Right.
you know, as men. And me, I came up single father, doing the best I could with my daughter, but I know it's some things that she was missing because she didn't have that coming up. And you know, she can only tell that story.
Right,
but,
right.
Do the best you can. We have to raise our young girls because from all the things that we're saying, this superwoman, they know that she's a superwoman, and they're attacking even harder.
And you know, that's beautiful, Kevin. And I know the two words that come to my mind about protecting our daughters and protecting our young women, despite of the centuries of being dehumanized, black women have always shown two words, and we touched on them both, but I gotta say them again. They've shown love and compassion. We've got to have the love and compassion shown to our young girls as they grow up, because you know there's so many factors that's coming at them right now. And I think what they're going to have to do is they have to experience it, not just talk about it, but it has to be demonstrated. And then when they become adults, hopefully they're going to take the same love and compassion that was shown to them and show it to their daughters and their granddaughters and their great-great-granddaughters and so forth and so on. So it is basically a ripple effect that we have to do, and it starts with us. And I think that we've done an excellent job at it, but as you just stated, we can't let it go. We got to keep showing that, and this is a beautiful discussion. And like I said, Kev, this is really bringing joy to my heart to give back in words to those women that made special sacrifices for us, and I think it's wonderful.
Right. We got another rose going out to Wanda A. Royal. She said, "Baby girl."
Okay. Yeah, these are sisters giving sisters love, you know.
Right.
You know, because sisters a lot of times we go at each other's throat, but every now and then it's okay to say, "Hey, I just want to say I love you," you know, in spite of what we're going through. That's what. Listen, I was a wayward child when I became a teenager. And I guess I'm speaking for all of us, even though we don't want to admit it. When we get in our teens, we start smelling our piss or whatever you want to call it. But my mother, she always showed, she disciplined me to the best of her ability, but she always showed me that she loved me in spite of. Now, she didn't cover up for the wrongs that I did, because I used to talk back to her like I was grown, but every now and then she put a pot upside my head to let me know who she was boss. But the bottom line is, she always showed me that she loved and she cared for me. And I think that's what really helped me become the man that I'm continuing to become, is that I knew my mother loved me. Regardless of what other people said about me or what they tried to do to me. When you know that you have a mother's love, oh my goodness, that speaks volumes right there. When you know that you're loved by a woman.
Right. And I'm gonna give another name, Mrs. Morgan. I remember growing up in the hood, because I know the seeds, I know the fruit that you produce, and I appreciate it. And see, these are some of the best people that I know as young adults now because of where they came from, or what they. Now, sometimes we'll say, "Man, my mom did this and she beat me," and it's like I say, those things are conditioned on us. We're born into conditions that we didn't create. They were created for us to go through,
right?
And we needed that the captain of that ship,
or
to help us through that sometime. And sometimes that's what that mother was. And it's not just your mother; it's other mothers, it's teachers. Those that were teachers. We all had a teacher or so that was in school that inspired us, that touched us, that cared about us, that went a little further. We had all these examples in our community, you know. And this is what I want to give flowers. Now, it's names I haven't said, and I just want y'all to know. I see you. I appreciate you.
Right.
People that's commenting, I appreciate you. I see you.
Likewise.
And I don't see a lot of men on this show. Nobody's commenting. No guys showed up. I guess they didn't want to get no tribute to they black women. And maybe this is corny to a lot of people. I don't know.
Well, you know, corny or not, we're going to bring it because this is necessary. And to all the sisters that's been watching this broadcast faithfully every second and fourth, first and third Tuesday, I should say, we want to give you your flowers because you don't have to watch this broadcast. You could be doing some of anything else that other women do, but you take time out and you sacrifice to watch us for an hour or whatever, however long we're on. And you're saying, hey, I'm in a situation where I want to listen to some intelligent brothers, but I also want to be a part of a movement. And I think that's very important. And we thank you for that. And we started off by talking about honoring the black woman, and we've given her her honor. We cannot give her enough honor. But we talked about the backbone, and the backbone being the part of the back that keeps you upright. It's the spine. But the black woman has been our stability. She always have been and always will be. She's been our strength. And we just wanted to take time out to say we appreciate all of that we have gotten from her. And we just love her for that. And all of you sisters, we love you for that. And no matter what you're going through, just remember some of these truths that Kev and I have talked about today. When it's hard, when times are tough, when you're going through, when you're lonely, just think about these positive characteristics and traits that you have. And hopefully that'll be able to help you go throughout your day with a nicer mood.
All right. We appreciate everyone for tuning in. Hopefully we have a better show for y'all next Tuesday, the next Tuesday that we come on.
Wow.